Bible in a Year, Day 182. Readings from the Bible, the second book of Kings, chapter 16, and Micah, chapter 1 to 4. Second book of Kings, chapter 16. Reign of Ahaz of Judah. In the 17th year of Micah, son of Remaliah, Ahaz, son of Jotham, king of Judah, became king. Ahaz was 20 years old when he became king, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. He did not do what was right in the sight of God, of the Lord his God, as David his father had done. He walked in the way of the kings of Israel. He even immolated his child by fire in accordance with the abominable practices of the nations, whom the Lord had dispossessed before the Israelites. Further, he sacrificed and burned incense on the high places, on hills, and under every green tree. Then Rezin, king of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remaliah, king of Israel, came up to Jerusalem to attack it. Although they besieged Ahaz, they were unable to do battle. In those days, Rezin, king of Aram, recovered Elath for Aram and drove the Judahites out of it. The Edomites then entered Elath, which they have occupied until the present. Meanwhile, Ahaz sent messengers to Tilgath-Pileser, king of Assyria, with the plea, I am your servant and your son. Come up and rescue me from the power of the king of Aram and the king of Israel, who are attacking me. Ahaz took the silver and gold that were in the house of the Lord and in the treasuries of the king's house, and sent them as a present to the king of Assyria. The king of Assyria listened to him and moved against Damascus, captured it, deported its inhabitants to Kir, and put Rezin to death. King Ahaz went to Damascus to meet Tilgath-Pileser, king of Assyria. When he saw that the altar in Damascus, King Ahaz sent to Uriah the priest a model of the altar and a detailed design of its construction. Uriah the priest built an altar according to the plans which King Ahaz sent him from Damascus, and had it completed by the time King Ahaz returned from Damascus. On his arrival from Damascus, the king inspected the altar. The king approached the altar, went up, and sacrificed his burnt offering and grain offering, pouring out his libation and sprinkling the blood of his communion offerings on the altar. The bronze altar that stood before the Lord he brought from the front of the temple, that is, from the space between the new altar and the house of the Lord, and set it on the north side of his altar. King Ahaz commanded Uriah the priest, upon the large altar sacrifice the morning burnt offering and the evening grain offering, the king's burnt offering and grain offering, and the burnt offering and grain offering of the people of the land. Their libations you must sprinkle on it, along with all the blood of burnt offerings and sacrifices. But the old bronze altar shall be mine for consultation. Uriah the priest did just as King Ahaz had commanded. King Ahaz detached the panels from the stands and removed the basins from them. He also took down the bronze sea from the bronze oxen that supported it and set it on a stone pavement. In deference to the king of Assyria, he removed the Sabbath canopy that had been set up in the house of the Lord and the king's outside entrance to the temple. The rest of the acts of Ahaz with what he did are recorded in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah. Ahaz rested with his ancestors. He was buried with his ancestors in the city of David, and his son Hezekiah succeeded him as king. Micah chapter 1. The word of the Lord which came to Micah of Moresheth in the days of Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, which he saw concerning Samaria and Jerusalem. Oracles of punishment. Hear, O peoples, all of you, give heed, O earth, and all that is in it. Let the Lord God be witness against you, the Lord from his holy temple. For see, the Lord goes out from his place, and descending treads upon the heights of the earth. The mountains melt under him, and the valleys split open, like wax before the fire, like water poured down a slope. All this is for the crime of Jacob, for the sins of the house of Israel. What is the crime of Jacob? Is it not Samaria? And what is the sin of the house of Judah? Is it not Jerusalem? So I will make Samaria a ruin in the field, a place to plant vineyards. I will throw its stones into the valley and lay bare its foundations. All its carved figures shall be broken to pieces. All its wages shall be burned in the fire. and all its idols I will destroy. As the wages of a prostitute it gathered them, and to the wages of a prostitute they shall return. For this I will lament and wail, go barefoot and naked. I will utter lamentation like the jackals, mourning like the ostriches. For her wound is incurable, it has come even to Judah. It has reached to the gate of my people, even to Jerusalem. Do not announce it in Gath, do not weep at all in Beth Lephra. Roll in the dust, pass by, you who dwell in Shaphir. The inhabitants of Zanan do not come forth from their city. There is lamentation in Beth Ezel, it will withdraw its support from you. The inhabitants of Maroth hope for good, but evil has come down from the Lord to the gate of Jerusalem. Harness steeds to the chariots, inhabitants of Lachish. You are the beginning of sin, for daughter Zion, for in you were found the crimes of Israel. Therefore you must give back the dowry to Moresheth Gath, the house of Akzib are a dry stream bed to the kings of Israel. Again I will bring the conqueror to you, inhabitants of Maresha. The glory of Israel shall come, even to Adullam. Make yourself bald, cut off your hair. For the children whom you cherish, make yourself bald as a vulture, for they are taken from you into exile. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.